What a world I am, Q Parker. And man, listen, you know I got soul. Man, let me just say, dude, I just appreciate what you all bring to the genre and just how consistent you all have been over the years, highlighting and because sometimes artists from my era
Yeah.
uh, tendency for the public to quickly throw them to the side and you easily forget all of the work that we have done. And so you all do a great job of just highlighting and just in case you forgot who this is. So
Yes.
I appreciate that. And I'm sure a lot of my peers appreciate you all's platform.
No, for sure. And likewise, I always thank you for your support. I mean, we've been doing this for a minute now, and all the 112 members have always showed us love. So I really appreciate that. And, just to compliment you as well, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, there's certain R&B artists, especially from your era, where when they speak, people listen. And you're one of those. I think Sean Stockman is one of them. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Babyface is obviously another. Brian Michael Cox, and you're in that group as well. And I started to think, why is that? Why do people care when Q Parker has something to say? And I thought about him like, okay, he's accomplished a lot with 112, a lot of great numbers. But I think more than that, what I realized is with that group of people, the reason why we care about what you have to say is we can tell that you care and you still care about the genre and you still want it to have it succeed and be done right. So I mean, just talk about that and why you still care about R&B in the way that you do, because you've done it all already and you don't really have to care at this point.
Yeah, I mean, when it flows through your veins, you can't help but care. Everything that I have experienced as a young man, a father, a community activist, a voice for the community. There's always some R&B connected to it. And so I say that this R&B genre raised me. Even before I and my brothers got the record deal, we were influenced by the baby faces and those that came before us. And so I always like to say, um, because I played sports in high school and
Yeah.
really I ran track, and so we understand how important the passing of the baton is when you're doing a relay. And if someone drops a baton,
Yeah.
that totally negates you from placing in anything. And we
Right.
finish the race. And so someone passed the baton to me and my brothers and in my era,
Right.
my generation. And so I just have a huge responsibility on how I'm going to pass that baton. And I can physically pass the baton. I can intellectually pass the baton.
Right.
From an education standpoint, I can pass the baton. From my experiences, I can pass the baton. I just want to make sure that the next generation securely gets it as I'm handing it to them. And sometimes you can't hand it off carefully if you don't care. I
Yeah.
got to care to hand it to somebody.
No, and it's amazing because you're backing it up with the music as well. Like Beg came out a few months ago, and that's one of
Yeah.
those records like if you love traditional R&B in the way that we do, like that's the record. I mean, it's been a minute since you've dropped some solo R&B music, but you came back with Beg and like it's done really well in the charts as well. That's kind of unheard of from an artist that, I mean, you got to break it down, right? You came from a group, obviously
Yeah.
you had a solo project a little over a decade ago, had to kind of
Yeah.
rebuild yourself there. And from there, it's like, okay, well, how do I keep pushing? How do I keep building? And you have Beg now, and that's like doing well on the charts. Just talk about the whole journey and the process of getting to the point of Beg.
It's you use the correct word. It's a journey.
Yeah,
And when you are on a journey, sometimes you're in the slow lane, sometimes you're in the intermediate lanes, and sometimes you're in the HOV. You just go different speeds
yeah,
depending on how fast you want to get to your destination. And the thing that I've always been is a surveyor.
yeah,
Uh, because music flows through my veins, I can sing and release some music any day of the week, every day of the week if I wanted to,
right.
because I'm just that creative when it comes to music. And I have team members around me, production partners and songwriting partners who we can put out music anytime.
Yeah,
I am careful in doing is making sure that when I do release some music, there's a specific lane that I can occupy. Maybe
yeah,
not by itself totally, but there's not as much traffic. And what I noticed when I assembled my team, we got together was there was a void. You know, we didn't feel like men were really catering to women
Yeah.
lyrically melodically in their music. And that's how we came up with begs. One of the guys said, yo, guys not begging anymore. But instead of the traditional way of begging, we wanted to spin it. Came up with an acronym, bringing endless gratitude to your partner, and we flipped it by saying, "I'm not begging because I messed up. I'm begging because I love you. I'm begging because I want to keep us in a space. And if I beg every day for you, whatever I need will be at the ready position." And that's men and women. Women beg for your men beg for your women. And so I just knew that this is a lane that I can occupy.
Yeah.
And when I open my mouth, I can't help but sound as an R&B mixed in with some gospel, some jazz,
Yes.
all of those pop. And I pull from all of those influences, and this is what you get.
Yeah. No, and the fact that it's doing well, in this time and age when R&B is has changed a lot since you first started, but also at the same time, it's like looking at your trajectory in your career. Like, start off with 112, you guys had massive success. You're doing
Mhm.
arena tours, and then you go through your highs and lows. I remember vividly, like I'm in Vancouver, and you guys came out here for a show at a nightclub, and it probably held like at most 200 people. So it's like, to a degree, it's a humbling experience because you see the highs of highs, and even if it's the lowest of lows, you still have your fans that follow you. But to go through your entire career now, to go through those peaks and valleys, and now reach a point where you're back and you have a hit record, like how does that feel?
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I go back to the word you said in the beginning, the journey. The
Yeah,
journey, you know, it's easy to just get in your vehicle and just go from point A to your destination.
yeah,
But the type of person that I like to see, and I like to know that we turn right at the McDonald's, and then we
yeah,
turn at this building. Oh, I didn't know that that was there. I pay very, very close attention. And so as I've gone on this journey,
yeah,
I've remembered all these things. And so you're right. I enjoy the State Farm 20,000 and the
yeah.
arena venues, but I do still appreciate the intimate crowds where it's 100 people, 200 people. That's the way that we were raised. We were raised that you give the same show regardless of how many are in the seats. If it's two people in there, they paid their money to see you, and they're going to get a full committed show. And so, just the journeys of all of that stuff I put into my music. I put into how I interact with the fans, even to present day. I'm gonna kiss every baby, shake every hand, every photo, because I appreciate the fans' commitment to me and my brothers and our art. And so that's the least I can do is make sure that they have an enjoyable experience when they encounter Q Parker.
And like, speaking of gratitude, of course, you've given gratitude to the fans over and over again, but recently you made a post. You kind of gave love to those that helped build you up early on, the K Wells of the world, Tim
Yeah,
and Bob.
yeah,
And I just remember those stories that Tim and Bob shared with us of how you guys would go to school during the daytime. At night, you guys would be in the studio. And maybe during that time is when Boyz II Men was recording in the studio with Tim and Bob. Like, that must have been such a pivotal moment in your life. And just looking back at that now, like, and you reflect on that, like, what do you take away from those moments?
the craziest thing is Sean Stockman is my brother.
Yeah,
We talk on the phone regularly. We text all the time, and it's amazing to be there because I remember in high school looking at BET and Video Music Soul
yeah,
and seeing Boyz II Men. Boyz II Men inspired 112 tremendously, as well as Jodeci and then Commission and the
hmm,
Wine Take Six and all of those. But Boyz II Men played a very, very, very integral part in the growth of 112. And as they stated, that first album, One Ye wrote Now That We're Done,
yeah,
and Touch You was a record that Boyz II Men recorded, but it didn't make their first album. And so Tim and Bob recorded it on us.
yeah,
Uh, and to have what would be called a Boyz II Men reject and, deliver it in the way that we delivered it, it became a 112 favorite song. And to have one of the people that inspired you contribute to your first record, man, that's unheard of, and it's something that I've never forgotten. And I'll tell you, Sean hates it because every time we talk on the phone, I'm probably giving him love, shouting him out, and
Right. Yeah. No, that's such an incredible thing. Like just going back to those moments, of course you guys are in high school during the daytime. Did anyone even believe you when you said you were in the studio with Boys to Men?
I'm sure they did not believe us,
No, yeah.
but we just had a passion that was just so it was just so laser beam focused.
Yeah.
Um, we knew that we would make it, and the beauty of it all, it's almost like being identified as one single pin in a haystack.
Wow.
Because at the time there was so many artists wanting to get a record deal, and
Right.
so someone to see something in 112 that catapulted us into Bad Boy and the records and the Grammy Awards and all of that kind of stuff. I can't tell you that we didn't believe that we were going to be that. We would watch Video Music Soul every night damn near and say that is going to be us one day. And so that's how we prepared. I believe that preparation is the greatest showing of faith. I believe it so much that I'm gonna start practicing right now so that
Right.
opportunity comes, I'm ready. I don't gotta get ready. And that's just how we were. And so when the opportunity came, man, we seized that thing and here we are. So it didn't really matter if they believed us or not. We knew where we were on our way to.
No, that's super amazing. And Q, I think the cool thing about you, along with Beg, you've been doing a lot of remixes recently. Like I seen the one you
Yeah.
did for Residuals, and I
Mhm.
feel like I think for you, it's kind of cool just to see you dip into that new space of R&B and put your pen to the paper. Just
Yeah.
talk about just doing that and approaching new R&B. Like, is that still fun for you?
It's so much fun.
Yeah,
I call them Q versions,
yeah,
and it's just really my take on somebody else's record. You know, as a songwriter and as a creator, there are often times when you hear a song and it's like, damn man, why didn't I think of that? Like, man, I should have written that song. And I can love the song so much to where it makes me want to sing on the song. It's
right,
not trying to out sing somebody or try to one up them on their own record, but it's just my way of saying to them respectfully, I really rock with this song so much that I just want to sing on it. And so I created Q versions, and I actually love showcasing and displaying my ability to even jump on these newer artists' records and just give my spin on it.
right. No, and I heard the one you did with Coco Jones as well, and that's a pretty cool one too.
Yeah, man.
You have Beg, you have these covers. I know more new music is on the way. It's
Yeah.
been a minute since a solo R&B album from you. Like, what's coming up for you?
So we're getting ready to release the second single, song called "Keep On Lovin'." It's produced by Ghost the Kid and co-written by myself and Rico Love.
Wow.
It's Dondria on some of the background vocals, and then it's all leading up to a fall full EP release. So I'm
Okay.
really, really excited about that. It's a 9 song EP, super dope. My production team, Felly, the voice,
Yeah.
Black Elvis, Al Jamal, Teddy P, Aunt J. Bush, Tario. It's a collection of just great, amazing talents, and I'm just blessed that my instrument is still in pristine condition.
Yeah.
I can still compete with the best of them, and yeah, Hugh Parker, we ain't going nowhere.
No, that's super amazing. And I gotta say, like you made a post recently. You were at the Jagged Edge show, showed
Mhm.
them a lot of love, and of course you
Yeah,
and
man.
Wingo, you guys go way back as well. Just talk about the camaraderie between you guys starting off all in Atlanta, coming up together. Just talk about
Yeah.
just how proud you are of Jagged Edge and what they've accomplished.
And like I said in the post, I went to see their concert in DC,
Yeah,
and you know, primarily to support my brother Wingo, because he and I
yeah,
have been friends for damn near 30 years, dating back to high school. But I have a genuine love for my other brothers, Kyle, Brandon, and Brian, because we kind of came in this game together. And when the industry wanted to pit us against each other, we were all just trying to fight to stay alive and support each other in any way that we could. Now, if we were on the same show together, obviously we're gonna try to outdo
of
them.
course, yeah.
Ask them who's better, them or us. They better say them because they won't say us. It's just friendly competition. But again, being in that concert, seeing them headline their own tour, I was not only just proud of them, but I was proud because they represented a genre.
Yep.
uh, our era. They represented an era, not a genre. They represented our era. You know, you had the New Edition era. Then you had New Edition and Guy, those guys. Then you had Boyz II Men, Jodeci, Silk, Blackstreet, and then you had our era, which is 112, Jagged Edge, Drew Hill, Next, and Ideal and
Mm-hmm.
Profile.
Yes.
All of these groups. And so to have them up there, it was a great representation of our era. And that made me proud too.
Yeah, for sure. And next year, of course, is going to be the 30-year anniversary of your debut album, the
Yeah,
112 self-titled. I hope to see something that comes out of that. If not the entire group, then hopefully
there
you
will
do
be.
something. And
There
and
will. There will.
I hope so too. But I want to get
We
into
can-
some
yeah,
yes, for sure. I want to get into some history here
sure.
because before the 112 debut album came out, you guys had put out Make Love on the Money Train soundtrack. Like, can you just talk about just that transition? Like, why did you guys decide to go with that one first and then launch the Bad Boy sound? Like, just what was that sequence like for you guys?
Yeah, so when we were discovered, right, Kevin
Yeah.
Wells, Courtney Seals discovered us, and we signed a 90-day agreement to be developed for Dallas, Austin.
Mm,
Tim and Bob were signed to Dallas as
of
producers.
course. Yes.
And so as we would go to the studio every day, it just so happened that Tim and Bob just had a liking to us.
Yeah.
And it was Tim and Bob who really helped us find our identity. They saw something in us and was able to embellish the natural gift that we already possessed. And then we were able to identify the nuances that they were bringing to us to enhance what we naturally were gifted in. And we had an opportunity to be on the Money Train soundtrack. And so Tim and Bob and the four of us, we came up with the Making Love. And for those 112 diehard fans, they know that that record exists.
Yep.
Uh, but it was just that was the springboard into the Bad Boy releases and everything
Yeah.
that happened in our career.
No, that's such an amazing song, and I got another song I want to talk to you about. Tim actually sent me this record a while back, and I'm like, how did this not make an album? It's the record Second Chance.
Oh, yes.
I talked to Tim about it. I talked to Bob about it. They're still upset to this day that that didn't make an album. What the heck happened there, Q?
You know, back then we would record at least so back then that's
Yeah.
when albums would have 19 songs
Yeah.
or 20 songs on an album. And so to get to 19 means we recorded 40 or 50.
Right. Yep.
It's just always tough, man, when you create so many bangers,
Yep.
having to scale it down to 19. And that second chance was just one of those that just did
Damn.
not. And I'm sure maybe it could have replaced something,
Yeah.
but I stand by all of the records that actually made
Of
those albums.
course. Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have classics, so it's hard to deny that. But I'd be curious one day. I'd love to hear everything else in the 112 vault because I know there's some songs in there.
Oh my, yes.
Yes. Uh, Q, don't want to take up too much more of your time, but again, want to congratulate you on the single of Bag. Of course, you got more new music coming. Also, we got to talk about your artist, Crystal. That's a
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
friend of ours as well. Great on the
Uh,
pen. I know you've been pushing her as well. Just talk about her.
Man, Crystal Nicole is one of the most amazing artists, songwriters, friends, peer. Man, Crystal was one of the first people who gave me confidence that I
Mm,
could do the solo journey. It was during one
yeah,
of the early, like almost 20 some years ago, when 112 was not together
yeah,
and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so Crystal, along with my brother AP, Adrian Porter,
yeah.
they believed in me, and we would go to AP's apartment studio and we would just create and write songs. And so when I talk about Crystal Nicole,
Yeah.
not only is she's an amazing artist and special as an artist, but she just special to me as my sister and someone who gave me the initial confidence that I could survive as a solo artist.
Isn't that kind of crazy though that because you're an artist, you can sing, you can write your butt off as well, but that confidence, like that's a different thing because you've been in a group, especially at that time, for pretty much
Yeah.
all your whole life. Like,
Yeah.
just talk about what's going on inside to build up that confidence to even step out as a solo artist?
It's tough because you master your 25%.
Yeah,
You have to learn, you have to just master your 25% because
yeah,
the moment you get into the 26%, especially when you're in a group as evenly talented, evenly and equally as talented as 112,
yeah,
everybody has to master their 25% so that it makes up the total 100. But if
yeah.
you go into 26%, now you are infringing in someone else's lane. And
Right.
so um just creating a relationship with that other 75%
Yeah,
that to remain over on the side for so many years, there's some trepidation and there's some fear involved. There's a lot of doubt. Can I do it? But I'm really grateful that I had that time to really
yeah,
love with 100% Q Parker because now I can give the world 100% Q Parker, but then I can also turn it down a notch so that I go back into my 112 lane when I'm needed to wear that uniform. But when I'm Q Parker, I've now danced with 100% of me so that
yeah.
I can give the world 100% of me.
No, I can't wait. I was talking to my guy, Kendrick Dean, recently, who helped you with the first one.
Yeah,
And I was just
yeah,
telling him, like, man, I loved Q Parker's first album. And he said he had so much creating that. So, Q, I
yeah.
can't wait to see what comes next. I thank you for always being true to R&B, for always being honest with the audience and letting them know, hey, like R&B is still alive. And I appreciate you for just continuing to create music. I can't wait for the new stuff. Anything else you'd like to add?
Man, I just like just stay tuned, stay connected with me. All the social networks are at Q Parker 112. Also, it's qparker.com for all tour dates, merchandise, and all of those things. And as I stated earlier, I just appreciate I got soul for just you all's contribution to recognizing artists from my era, from my generation, but also highlighting the new artists, spotlighting them,
Yeah.
but just being up on your R&B ish. And
Yes.
appreciate that, man. So yes, thank you.